What's going on, MMA fans? I'm back. Thank you to Mike for allowing me to bring a video back to you guys. I apologize. I know I took my site down. To those of you that were really big into my prediction videos, school and life, I'm sorry. From time to time, though, I've talked to Mike, and I am going to put up prediction videos, and I think that this is an important card coming up here with WEC 34. Also, this Saturday, make sure you watch the Elite XC CBS fights. It's the first time we're going to have MMA on public television, a first free live event on public television. It's a big step for the sport. So make sure that you tune into that. And aside from the main event, which, you know, Kimbo's not my biggest, let's just say I'm not the biggest fan of him as far as who he's fought so far. There are going to be other compelling fights. Robbie Lawler and Scott Smith. That's going to be a great fight. You got Gina Carano fighting, who probably one of the best mixed martial artists today as far as women go. It's going to be an interesting card. But let's get down to the brass tacks. Let's get down to this card and some of the fights that are very compelling. I don't know how they're going to work the main card for these fights, but I will break them down for you, some of the important fights in their respective divisions. Charlie Valencia and Dominic Cruz, this is an important fight for the 135 division. Charlie Valencia coming up a loss to Maeda, knocked out. He looked a lot better in his fight against Ian McCall with the suplex. You know, he just looked a lot more, you know, crisper and cleaner, and then he got up against Maeda, who is a seasoned striker. Maeda's fought in Pancrase, he's fought in Pride. You know, Valencia really needs to step his game up and really push Cruz. Cruz is well-rounded. I really do believe, though, that in this fight, Valencia is going to win this fight. I think that he has, you know, a lot more speed, a lot more edge. He's a lot quicker. Dynamic takedowns. He does have good dynamic combinations with his striking. I think he's going to take this fight, but I don't think he's going to finish Cruz. Cruz is a tough guy to finish. I think this fight's going to go to a unanimous decision. And you're going to see Charlie Valencia win that fight. Next fight, Jeff Curran versus Mike Brown. Mike Brown, of course, out of ATT. Jeff Curran, the Big Frog, known very well for his jiu-jitsu, very seasoned guy. Excellent boxing. He doesn't get enough credit for how good his boxing skills are. Last fight, of course, was to Uriah Faber. He lost via the submission. He's fought Stephen Ledbetter in the past, and he's fought Matt Serra as well. Mike Brown, he does have some pretty good wins. He's beaten Eve Edwards. So this is an interesting fight. Mike Brown's well-rounded, but I don't think he is up to the competition and the level that Jeff Curran is. I think Jeff Curran outclasses him in every facet of the game, in the clinch, in the stand-up, and in the jiu-jitsu factor, and I think Jeff Curran takes this probably by a second-round armbar. I'll just call it like that. Next fight, you have Rob McCullough versus Ken Alexander. These two have fought in the past. I can't remember exactly where. I just know they have fought each other. I don't remember where they fought. I think it was in earlier, like an Extreme Challenge, or correct me if I'm wrong. I can't really think about it right now. But nonetheless, Rob McCullough was the previous 155 champion in the WEC before he got beat by Mr. Varner himself. Got knocked out. But nonetheless, Rob McCullough is a dangerous dude to watch out for in the 155 division, and don't be surprised if you see him start making a run again, because he probably will. He's very good on the ground, excellent takedown defense. I think the only time you see him get into trouble is when he's got a guy that's striking with him and lands a better shot, and then he kind of, you know, he seems to not get scared but more tentative, and that's how the fight with Varner went. He got a little tentative, and that's what caused him to lose the fight. So McCullough, you know, he's fought Varner, he's fought Richard Crunkleton, Kit Cope. Ken Alexander has just recently fought, I believe in the WEC, Donald Cerrone, and I think the Athletic Commission in Nevada ruled out a no contest. I can't remember exactly what happened in that fight, but I think they overturned that, if I remember reading about that right. But nonetheless, I think that McCullough is going to take this fight, probably by a second-round knockout. He outclasses Alexander. McCullough has really progressed in the MMA game, and Alexander just kind of really hasn't. So since the last since their last meeting. So the next fight, this is an important fight. You got Maeda versus Torres. Maeda is a very, very, very talented striker, well-rounded. Torres is... he's been around the game for a long time. Miguel is a very, very, very good jiu-jitsu practitioner, good on the ground. He has good wrestling. I think his striking, though, is a little suspect. And I think maybe that's where Maeda is going to have the advantage in this fight. Now, if it goes to the ground, I think Torres has the advantage in the jiu-jitsu factor. This was a tough one to call for me because this is a very close fight. And if you've seen Maeda fight in previous organizations, you know how well he strikes. He's got some of the best leg kicks around for a Japanese fighter. He's very, very good, excellent hands. Torres is going to have his hands full, and if he's smart, he needs to take this fight to the ground. I think Torres will eventually win this fight. I think this fight will eventually go to the ground because I think Torres can stand long enough with Maeda and can last. But I do think at some point he's going to take this fight to the ground. He's going to win by submission, probably second round, third round. We'll see what happens. I won't be surprised if Maeda wins this, though. I mean, he's a talented dude, and he has really pushed himself in other organizations, Pancrase and Pride. So we'll see what happens there. Main event, Uriah Faber versus Jens Pulver. Those of you who have been following the WEC, if you've seen the preview video that they put up on joesando.org, if you guys go onto those websites, like MMA News and all that good stuff, Uriah Faber is, his training is sick, so is Jens Pulver. Jens went to a new training facility this year to try to really boost his cardio and some of the things he does, and if you haven't seen that video, check that out. It's kind of crazy what some of these guys do. Uriah Faber, just come off the win over Jeff Curran. He's fought Chance Farrar, Dominic Cruz, Cole Escovedo. He's fought some of the elite guys in the WEC. Jens Pulver beat Cub Swanson via I don't want to say a 10-finger guillotine, but some say it was a topside anaconda. You can call it what you want. Nonetheless, it was a guillotine choke of some sort. BJ Penn, of course, he lost to him. He lost to Joe Lozon via the knockout right when he came back to the UFC. So this is going to be an interesting fight. Jens Pulver is a bigger 145er. Uriah Faber is a smaller 145er, but in the size that he lacks, he makes up for in his endurance, in his ground game, in his striking. I'm going to break this down little by little. I think Jens Pulver has one area in this fight that he outclasses Uriah, and that would be the striking department. I think Uriah has quick, fluid strikes, but doesn't have the knockout power. I think Jens has the knockout power in his left, and I think he can knock you out with his right, but we haven't, seen that. I think the one time that he actually kind of displayed his right hand that he almost knocked the guy out was Joe Jordan, was the last fight that I remember, but nonetheless, I think that Uriah outclasses him on the ground. I think he outclasses him in the jiu-jitsu, and I think he outclasses him in the wrestling factor, and he's more explosive. I think Uriah is going to take this. And again, this is another fight where don't be surprised if Jens does win, because he can knock people out. It's not like he's old and washed up. He is still a fighter, and he is still a talented fighter. But I just don't see where he is going to take Faber out of his element. And I think Faber's going to win this in the third round. I'm going to say a TKO. I think he is going to stop Jens on the ground. He's not going to stop him standing up. I don't see Uriah knocking Pulver out. It's not going to happen, I don't think. So those are my predictions. Let me know what you think. Thanks again to Mike for letting me come on here and do these predictions. And I probably will be back and do another one here soon, maybe 85, maybe one of the dream cards that's coming up. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, you guys, take it easy.